This week on the Steele Report, the two candidates for Iowa's always very competitive Senate District 30 race with insights from KWWL political analyst Dr. Chris Larimer of UNI. And our program begins right now.
Now from KWWL, this is the Steele Report.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Steele Report as we examine a key Iowa Senate race right in this area in Black Hawk County. It's Iowa Senate District 30 for Black Hawk County, Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and Hudson. Democratic Senator Eric Giddens, an employee of the University of Northern Iowa, is running to keep his seat, the seat he won in a special election about a year and a half ago. His Republican challenger is Black Hawk County farmer and real estate developer Harold Youngblood of Hudson. You're going to hear first right now from Senator Eric Giddens.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on the show, Ron. It's great to talk to you. And you know, COVID is the most important thing that we're dealing with right now. It's hard to deny that that's impacting every area of our lives, and we're not unique in Senate District 30 or in the Cedar Valley, but that's the thing that's top of mind as I talk to constituents. You know, I've spoken to hundreds of constituents on the phone, made thousands of phone calls, and it's just something that's going to impact our lives, and even when we get it under control, the aftermath that it's going to have on the economy is going to be long lasting, and we're going to have to deal with that on every front.
Should COVID-19 issues be handled by the state of Iowa and the legislature or the local governments?
Well, I think the answer to that depends. There are things that are appropriate for state government to take action on, and then there are examples of things that I feel like, and many of my colleagues feel like, need to be handled at the local level. For instance, we felt like the state government should have given better guidance early on to school districts about how to handle this COVID situation. And then late in the game, school districts were told they had to go 50% in-person instruction. We felt like that should have been a local decision, that we have local public health experts here. Our school districts are run by locally elected school boards who are the best equipped to make those decisions locally. So the answer is it depends.
What do you tell voters about why you deserve to go back and fulfill a full term being elected on your own?
Well, this has been an honor to be able to serve Senate District 30 in the broader Cedar Valley and Black Hawk County in the state Senate. I have loved serving our community this way, and one of the things that I love most is listening to constituents, talking to constituents. I mentioned all the phone calls I've been making to folks throughout this year, just checking in on people. I also feel like I'm a good listener to expert advice. I've done a lot of that, checking in on this thing. This is no time to shy away from listening to our experts. And then taking all of that stuff that we gather, from constituents, from experts, going down to Des Moines, and working together with colleagues, not just Democrats, but colleagues throughout the legislature on both sides of the aisle, to come up with good policies that make sense for everyday Iowans and benefit folks here in our community and across the state, especially those that are most vulnerable. They've been disproportionately impacted by this crisis, and I'm someone that really cares about those folks and everybody. So I've demonstrated in a relatively short amount of time that I am willing to work with everybody in the legislature. I've developed strong relationships across the aisle, and that's what it's going to take. We can't come up with good policy if we aren't working together, and I'm excited to continue to do that in the legislature. One of the highest priorities for me has been and will continue to be continuing to support our school districts at a high level, continue to support the University of Northern Iowa and our public regents universities, our community colleges, so that we maintain that superiority that we've become accustomed to over the years. So education, healthcare right now is a huge issue. Our hospitals are hurting. They've been impacted financially by this dramatically, and rural areas are kind of disproportionately impacted. We need to support them, but we need to work on all of those sorts of issues. And then environment is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I work at the Center for Energy and Environmental Education. So we've got some ideas in all of those areas. I'll be working to build consensus, work with everybody to bring those forward for the good of everybody in this community and across the state.
From what you know about your opponent, Harold Youngblood, how do you differ? Besides philosophically, obviously, with different parties.
Well, I don't know him well. I'll point to one thing that I do know about him. So I work at the Center for Energy and Environmental Education here at UNI. I'm a big advocate for renewable energy. I think that we have to work hard on continuing to transition to a renewable energy future for the sustainability of our planet and our future generations, that kind of thing. We had a wind farm proposed in South Blackhawk County a few years ago by a company, RPM Access, and my opponent filed a lawsuit against the County Board of Adjustment that hung that project up in the courts for a long time, and then he appealed it, and eventually, just this year, a few months ago, the company gave up and withdrew their contracts from the landowners that they had. So we've lost that project here in Blackhawk County. That would have created lots of jobs. It would have generated rental income for the farmers. It would have boosted tax revenue for the county. Not to mention the environmental benefits that we need. So what I do know of him, that's one of the things, and we clearly have a difference of opinion there about the importance of moving forward into a clean energy future. So,
do you anticipate any social issue, police reform issues to come up as legislation in this coming session?
I don't have information right now to suggest any specific actions that might be taken. I will go back though to this interrupted session that we just had in 2020, and in complete bipartisan fashion, a police reform bill was brought forward by the Republican leaders in both chambers, working closely with Democrat leaders in both chambers. Was written, introduced, and passed unanimously in both chambers within a matter of a couple of days. And everybody, both parties, was very proud of that piece of legislation. It's called a Plan for a More Perfect Union. And I just want to say I fully support our law enforcement officers here in the Cedar Valley and across the state. They do a fantastic job. And we will be working with them at every step of the way.
Now, you've mentioned how important bipartisanship is. How difficult is it as a senator in a chamber that's controlled by the other party?
Well, I don't have anything to compare it to, Ron. This is the only experience I know right now. So it's an honor to serve our community. And I've only been at this for a year and a half. I genuinely enjoy working with everybody in the chamber. I've developed some good, strong relationships. One of the things here in Iowa, we don't have private office space to go and kind of retreat to. We're in one building in the Senate chamber all day long, one room, that Senate chamber, and I think that's a great thing. We are forced to spend time with each other and get to know each other, and I've really enjoyed that. I work on the Transportation Committee as ranking member. I'm on Veterans Affairs, and I point to those two as committee assignments that are very bipartisan, and I've really enjoyed the work that I've been able to do on those two committees without a hint of partisanship.
What feelings do you have about the United States Senate moving forward with the Supreme Court nominee in these last few days before the election?
Like you said, it's out of our control here locally. I feel like we should be waiting just based on precedent. That's what happened in the last go round, and we had some strong statements out of some key, members of Congress that if the same sort of thing were to happen in 2020, we'd wait. Turnabout seems to be fair play, but I'm not sure that's going to happen.
And thanks to Senator Eric Giddens for his thoughts. Coming up next, the Republican challenger, Harold Youngblood. And later, some insights on this key race from KWWL political analyst, Dr. Chris Larimer. And welcome back. You just heard from Democratic Senator Eric Giddens, and now it's time to hear from his Republican candidate challenger, and that is Harold Youngblood.
Well, COVID is on everyone's mind, no doubt. How we work through it, there's lots of different opinions. I believe the governor is doing a good job. Could she do better? Probably. I think we all could do better. Just working together is the best thing we can do. Local businesses should have the right to dictate what happens inside their facility. But I'm pretty big on property rights, which would be the business owners having the decision for themselves.
What could have been done better as far as getting schools back in session, either online learning, hybrid, or in person?
I believe that the kids need to be in school. Multiple reasons, but first and foremost, with the fantastic teachers that we have, they're great mentors, and the kids need to have that leadership. I believe in the value of the kids being together and socializing, besides going into the need for school, or for the school lunch. You know, those who need it the most, unfortunately, in some of our larger schools. And so what's happening in the smaller schools has been successful. I think it needs to be expanded out to all of our larger schools also.
And as far as the jurisdiction, should that be left to the local school boards or come from the governor who mandated the 50%?
I believe, like I talked earlier, of having an umbrella coming from the state, from the governor, and yet still give the local school boards an opportunity to have some say in what's happening in their school. And I think Hudson, in particular, Cedar Falls, they've done wonderful jobs.
COVID jurisdiction, should it come at the state level or run by the local county health departments and local government?
I think the state needs to have an umbrella so that counties can't go rogue and say that, you know, our rules are fit for everyone, because it's not. Different counties do not have metropolitan areas like the few that are having the most issues with COVID. So to have one umbrella for everyone, it doesn't work. But having a cap that counties can't overreach is what I would like to continue to see.
Why make the run for Iowa Senate?
Like many people, I was concerned at the direction some of our elected officials are going. They might be nice people. My opponent is a nice guy, but I do not believe his ideology is Cedar Valley. It's more New York, California, very non-Midwestern, not Iowa. Iowa is hardworking, good people, common sense, and that's what I want to try to get across. I use common sense and reason in my decisions. I want to put results over the political arena that goes on where they bicker and fight back and forth. I can be someone who listens to everyone because of all the things that I've done. As a farmer, as a business owner, as a basketball coach for over 20 years, I truly believe those experiences have shaped me that I can hear all sides, and I'm willing to listen to all sides and come up with the best results for the Cedar Valley.
As a candidate, you have to understand the mindset of some of the protesters.
So yes, I believe we as Americans can do better in helping our Black friends, neighbors, family members to be treated 100% the same as everyone else. There is no excuse for racism. Everyone that's listening to this, doesn't matter what color your skin, you got to think of everybody as a human being. And if you think of whether their skin's white, brown, black. If you think and treat people like a human being, all of the other things can go away. And we need to first get to that point and then continue to create better scenarios for everyone.
And do you think you could propose any legislation that might move things forward?
Well, first I want everyone to know that I support our police and our county sheriffs. We must have good law enforcement. They need to be funded to have the ability to protect and serve. That's their motto. Unfortunately, my opponent stood on the Senate floor and said, no justice, no peace. Look what's happening in Minneapolis, in Portland. That is a statement of rioting and looting. That is not appropriate for the Cedar Valley. We do not want to see that come here. So I'm supporting the police department and all law enforcement. The Republicans have a strong majority in the Senate. And when elected, I want to use that to the benefit of the Cedar Valley, in particular you and I, because we have a lot of elected officials who don't sit at the majority table. And so, though they're well-meaning, sometimes their comments fall on deaf ears. And should it? Probably not, but it's reality. When you're a majority, you have control of doing things your way. If I'm elected, I will sit at that table and I will be on you and I's side every single day. And we will get some better results for you and I.
Your opponent brought up your opposition to a proposed wind farm for Black Hawk County. You filed a lawsuit against that. We're against it. Can you tell people what was your thinking on that?
Well, first off, I want everyone to know that I'm for clean energy and I'm for protecting the environment. As a farmer, for years, we have done things on our farm. We put filter strips along our creeks to keep runoff. We don't put our fertilizer on until the spring to keep the nitrates out of the water. So we are doing things already on our farm to help protect the environment. The wind turbine lawsuit was all about the county supervisors not listening to the people who had to live within the bounds of that wind turbine site. They literally did not listen to almost 100 people who were fearful of their health, their well-being, their property rights. That was, to me, a slap in the face to people who live there. That the county just said, money is more important than you. We banded together, all 100 of us had input, and I moved forward with the lawsuit because of some things that the county did during that time frame that was not very appropriate. I believe if I'm elected over my opponent, I will be able to listen to everyone. I'm not getting support from PACs, I'm not getting support from unions, I'm not getting support from, I'm looking to run and win this campaign on who I am as an individual. I don't think my opponent can say the same. He is very far to the left in his ideas, and he will be one of those politicians that strictly votes with the party. I am not one of those type of individuals.
Thanks to Harold Youngblood for his comments. It's a very, very important Iowa Senate race, and we'll have KWWL political analyst Dr. Chris Larimer talk about it when we come right back here. And welcome back to our show for this week. Right now, let's hear from KWWL political analyst Dr. Chris Larimer with his thoughts on the Senate District 30 race and other key issues. Well, Chris, here we are back on the UNI campus. Social distancing, of course. Let's talk a little bit about the Senate 30 district race. We just heard from both those candidates. That's always a close race.
It is always a close race, and it's related to the makeup of the district. You're talking about Cedar Falls, Waterloo, and Hudson, and we've heard candidates talk about the difficulty of running in that race because it's typically pretty balanced in terms of party registration. Right now, it's slightly more leans more Democratic in terms of party registration, but it's an interesting makeup because it's both that rural-urban divide that you see throughout Iowa.
That race has been as close as 22 votes. before.
Right, and even, you know, when Senator Danielson held that seat, he would always talk about how difficult it was to run in a race where you really had, you know, the more rural parts of the district, and having Hudson, and then trying to talk also to voters in Waterloo and Cedar Falls at the same time.
Does anybody at this point have an advantage? Is it an advantage being the sitting senator, so to speak? Yeah.
Well, yeah, certainly it's an advantage being the incumbent for Senator Giddens, but the challenge for him this time around is that he's actually running in a presidential election year. So if you look at turnout when he ran in March of 2019, it was about a little over 13,000 voters showed up at the polls. Now we're talking about a regular election and a presidential election year. And if you look back to 2016, the last time this race was held in a regular election, it was about 34,000 votes. So it's an entirely different electorate that he can probably expect to show up, or at least a very different electorate this time around. You look at the incumbent as usually having the advantage there because he's going to have name recognition. But because he's coming off that special election just in March of 2019, the advantage that a full-term incumbent might have, Senator Giddens maybe isn't quite there yet. And again, it comes down to turnout as well, because he's going to see a turnout that's going to probably be more than twice as much as what it was in 2019. So certainly the incumbent always has an advantage, but I think it's a little bit unique when you're coming off a special election.
So Senate District 30 really is one of two really contested races in Black Hawk County, with the other one being, of course, in the House side with Dave Williams, and him being challenged by Republican Ryan Howard. That should be a very good race too.
Yeah, I would expect that to be competitive as well. But again, with this one, as a political scientist, when we think about vote choice, we always start with party ID, party identification. And that's certainly going to have an effect on this race. And the challenge for those two candidates in this district and in all state legislative races is how do they talk about their races, their candidacies in a way that's separated from all the attention that's on the presidential race? How do they not get consumed by that? But again, for this race, because it's coming off a special election in 2019, for Senator Giddens, it almost has to feel like he's running for the first time in some sense, because it is going to be a very different electorate than what he saw in 2019.
Who has registered the most new voters, do you think?
Well, I think what's interesting is if you go back to June of this year, that was the first time in several years where statewide, no party voters registered as, quote, no party, were not the dominant group in the state. And Democrats have now taken a slight lead in the state, although it's really very, very close between the number of registered Democrats and registered Republicans. But what was interesting is that no party group is no longer in the lead. So, you wonder if that means that voters are starting to separate themselves really into the two camps. And what's been interesting is in some of the polls that have come out this week, from the Iowa poll on the congressional races, the Senate race, the presidential race, the proportion of voters who are saying that they are unsure or don't know has really dropped into the low single digits. And so it really does seem like the electorate's starting to sort as we get closer to November.
How important is the presidential race to some of these down ballot candidates?
Well, I think if you're talking about voters who are new voters or more intermittent voters who are mobilized by the presidential campaigns, if they're really focused on that and that's what's getting the attention, it's hard for those down ballot races to really separate themselves from the narrative that's surrounding the presidential race. And we're seeing fewer and fewer split ticket voters. So it's really, are there new voters? They may be going to the polls to vote for the first time, but are they just voting straight ticket all the way down? Because there are fewer split ticket voters. And so I think it is going to be really hard for these candidates to separate themselves, and they're trying to do that without even being able to be in front of voters because of the current pandemic.
The Senate now looks like it's going to move forward and try to get this nominee for the Supreme Court confirmed as quickly as possible. That really ratcheted up the presidential race, it looks like, significantly.
It did, and I think it accelerates that polarization that we see within the electorate, because it's just another thing to talk about the differences between Democrats and Republicans, and it's going to be very heated, that discussion. It puts senators like Senator Ernst, who are up for re-election in a tough state, in a difficult position as far as the position she's going to take on that nominee. Now, she said if the vote comes up, she'll approve it, but given how tight her race is right now, that could potentially turn off some voters.
And as always, thanks to Dr. Chris Larimer for his great political insight. That's it for this week, but next week, you'll want to be tuning in, because you're going to hear directly from the two candidates for Black Hawk County Sheriff in a special 1-hour SEAL report. We'll see you then. A reminder also about all of your recent shows right here on KWWL.com. Just go to the Watch tab, find the SEAL report, and you'll find the programs there. Thanks for watching.